Emo Law Productions. What up, sports fans? Happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast presents Sports Breakers. I'm one of your hosts, Craig. Or I'm one of your hosts, Juan. Sorry, I'm joined
Freaky Friday.
by my man, Craig.
What
It
up?
was a freaky Friday. It was a freaky weekend.
It was a pretty interesting weekend.
Man, not only did you it was football all weekend for me. I don't know about you. Like I told you, I texted you earlier in the week, like Sunday, and I'm like, man, I feel bad. All I did Saturday was from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah,
college football.
that's completely understandable this day and age. Not day and age, but this time of year.
Uh,
That's all I did. So
and if you guys at the top of the show, sad news, man. James Earl Jones, you told me about it literally a few hours ago. 93, right?
yeah, 93.
James Earl Jones sadly passed away. We'll have a little bit more conversation and tribute with him about him tomorrow when we talk Beetlejuice on a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast tomorrow. But man, it was a crazy weekend in football, and we'll talk some of the big stories, and we will quickly rapid fire and go through some predictions for this week 3 coming up, which starts Thursday. The Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins on Thursday. So, before we get into college football predictions, is there anything that shocked you as far as besides Notre Dame losing?
Is there anything that shocked me? No, we kind of covered that Georgia Tech might be on. Well, shocking.
Yeah.
Yes, let me get to the thing that shocked me the most. But yeah, I had said last week, hey, Georgia Tech looked good, but is it because Florida State was that bad? And I had kind of said to be on a lookout and maybe watch them to maybe slip up. But the most shocking of the weekend was obviously OU. You can't put a ton of blame on them, but you kind of can. It's a new starting quarterback. He's had 3 games, 3 career starts under his belt.
Even Brent Venables in the post game interview was like, "We should have lost that game."
Yeah, well, there's so much inconsistency in the play, the wide receivers. He's had a different center every time he steps on the field to start. He's had 7 different offensive lineups in just 3 games. So you want to talk about inconsistency, it's across the board. Luckily, we have somewhat of a defense that was able to kind of make some plays, but no excuses, man. I mean, you're playing against Houston. They barely put up anything against UNLV last week. The spread was 28, and you win by 4, I believe, 16-12. Like Brent said, we should have lost that game. We should be in the same conversation as Notre Dame, but by some way, somehow, that's also football, though.
But I messaged that too after the game, and I was like, if Alabama had a game like that 10 years ago against Nebraska when Nebraska was in the Big 12, like that's considered a big tough defensive SEC win.
Yeah, I mean, they were in a dogfight with USF, which that USF coach gets them to play. I mean, it's back-to-back years that they've been in a dogfight with them. I mean, it was 13-14 going into the fourth quarter, and they just somehow were able to, click for them. But to what some of the people in the local media said is like, hey, Houston's not going to play that same way against other teams,
Right.
and it's they're not going to dink it and dunk it. They're going to take shots down the field. They're not going to go forward on certain positions. They're playing to absolutely win that game. And if you don't bring your A game, which it looks like OU didn't, along with the inconsistencies, that's kind of the result you're going to get. But at the end of the day, It's football, and winning is winning. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And like we'll talk about it later, but I think OU brings their A game Saturday, and I think they completely smash Tulane at home this weekend.
Yeah. Also, Willie Fritz is the same coach that was at Tulane that beat USC, that almost beat Oklahoma a couple years ago. Granted, that was around the same time we were having issues with old Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams and everything, which we turned out to be pretty correct about that situation when we chanted "We want Caleb." Um, but like I said, winning's winning. That's the game that shocked me the most this weekend. Other than that, things were kind of about what I thought. Arkansas should have won the game versus Oklahoma State. They Oklahoma State was too seasoned, and they just they knew how to win that game. Arkansas is not there yet, so credit to Oklahoma State on that one. Um, Texas looked pretty good. I also think Michigan's pretty bad. Um, Penn State was in a dogfight with Bowling Green, so I guess that's another shocker. Kansas State was in a dogfight with Tulane, so can't take them lightly. Um, One of the most that was it the 11 o'clock slot or the 2:30 slot? I think it was the 2:30 slot. Tons of underrated games going on at that time. The
Oh yeah.
Iowa State game was fantastic. Um, there was several other games going on at that time where you were just like, man, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Um, the Boise State Oregon game,
That was a good game.
we talked about that last week. How Boise State could potentially win that game. They probably should have, because that kicker that kickoff return, he dropped it before the goal line. They absolutely got away with that one. Um, Tennessee looks dang good.
Tennessee looks really,
Um,
really good.
I'm hoping that OU is just kind of sleepwalking until they play Tennessee, and then they just like realize, oh yeah, we are in the SEC. We do have a gauntlet of a schedule. But Tennessee is actually an underdog against Oklahoma in 2 weeks, even though
I believe that though, because it's in Norman and because it's still OU.
I this close to putting down a ton of money on Tennessee. If they win, I make money. If they lose, OU wins. I'm happy either way. But them being an underdog is honestly kind of surprising with how OU played Saturday. I don't think the outside media or Vegas completely understands kind of what OU's going through. And so if they were to take a magnifying glass and kind of look at what's going on, that line might be the other way.
Would it shock you? And I know that game is still 2 weeks away, but would it shock you completely if Tennessee just goes in there and completely blows them out of the water?
It wouldn't shock me at this point. I think
I think it's going to be an emotional game with Josh Heupel coming to Norman.
yeah, it shouldn't be this way with everything that OU has, but I'm not getting my hopes up. If we win, I'm going to be ecstatic. If we lose, I kind of saw it a mile away after this last weekend. But Kansas, Illinois was a fun game. Iowa State. Clemson absolutely demolished App State. Looks like they might have something going there. They just happened to run into Georgia week one.
Yeah.
But yeah, tons of fun games. South Carolina beating Kentucky the way that they did after looking kind of suspect against Old Dominion. That was interesting. Kentucky's kind of in the same boat as Oklahoma. Their quarterback can't do anything. I thought Jackson Arnold might have had the worst
Kevin,
weekend. It was Brock Vandegrift.
I got a question for you before we get into some predictions of college football. And this is by all means, I'm not poking fun at Stillwater or Oklahoma State or anything, but is is Stillwater and Oklahoma State just happy with, like, do you think Mike Gundy's ever going to be on the hot seat as long as they win 8, 9 games and make a bowl? Is he? Are they okay with that? Are they just settling, or you know what I mean? Because I just have a feeling they're okay with no Big 12 championship, make a bowl game, win it if possible, but our goal is 8 wins all year, every year. Like, is his job security just that safe?
If you were to lose Mike Gundy, who are you bringing in that You know what I mean? Like, who are you bringing in that's a big name other than just somebody that's
Who
been?
You know what? I don't think it has to be somebody who's a big name. It needs to be somebody who's hungry, somebody who wants to be a head coach and wants to succeed. Mike Gundy does not look hungry anymore, and Mike Gundy does not look. He looks
He
like
looks
he's just
complacent.
satisfied.
Yeah. Um.
You bring a young defensive coordinator that's just edging for a head coaching job in college football. That's I think they need somebody to rattle the cage.
I don't. I can't think of any past Oklahoma State player that fits the head coaching mold. Just because there aren't any in the college ranks that I know of, or the NFL for that matter. Um, Brandon Whedon just kind of did what he did, and then I think
Does
he's with the Air Comfort Solution stuff. But
does the person have to be an alumni though? Because I
I,
think that's
I,
Oklahoma State's biggest downfall. Like I'm not an Oklahoma State fan, by the way, for anybody listening or watching, but I'm just tired of seeing that school happy with 8-9 wins and maybe not even a conference championship.
yeah, I mean, aside from location and lack of NIL funds, which that could be Mike Gundy not wanting to put it in and being okay with what they have, but um, they're kind of in a position where if they don't start making that move, they may
They're going to be left out.
not maybe not left out, but right now is your prime time to get somebody in who, if say Oklahoma State doesn't win the Big 12 this year, don't even
They're
make the
not.
championship game. Well, say they don't make the championship game. Say it's like Utah and Kansas State or something. I don't know. You're finally in a conference without OU, without Texas. You're supposed to become the big dog. You let Utah, who's coming from the Pac 12, kind of take over and run your conference, which you should be taking care of. At some point, as a fan, as a administration, you have to realize, like you said, are we satisfied with being good, or do we need to kind of shake some things up and try to become great?
Yeah. I just don't see. I mean, I wanted to talk about that. I just don't see. I think they're okay with barely sneaking by teams here and there. I think they're okay with not making the national. I think they're okay with not making the college football playoff. There's no urgency in the school, in the program, in the coach, and the way Mike Gundy acted in the last few seconds of that fourth quarter. I was like, that. No wonder this team never goes anywhere because
Yeah.
they follow their head coach.
He kind of looks like he doesn't want to be there at times on the sideline. And he's just like a blank face. Like, granted, I think Mike Gundy has a very good hold of the organization as it is. But
I think. Oh yeah, I think he's got some politicking in there for sure too.
no, not necessarily like that, but like he can produce good talent with lesser players, and he can continuously be in contention for the Big 12. But
He
like I
can
said,
only he can only have decent years whenever he has a quarterback who's 40.
yeah, um, they me personally, I think they need to look into doing something different, shake it up. I mean, Gundy's been a part of Oklahoma State for 40, like 35, 40 years. And you had one good season out of those 40 with Mike Gundy. Look into doing something different. I'm not saying you have to do it ASAP, but I
Listen,
think it's time.
I'm not an Oklahoma State fan. I just wanted to bring this up to conversation because I thought it'd make a good point. I mean, as long
Because
as Mike Gundy's the coach, I think Oklahoma State's going to be a joke.
they have a great stadium. They have a great, pains me to say it, they have a great fan base who goes to those games and makes it loud, makes it rowdy. They have everything. They have facilities. They have everything you need to be a top program in the Big 12. And if they don't do it this year, win. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Let's get into some games predicting week number 3 of the college football season. Again, we're going to talk about the top 25 matchups this week. Arizona State at Kansas State. Arizona at Kansas State. Uh, Arizona Arizona looked really good. I think I got Arizona in this one.
Arizona can definitely air it out. That wide receiver and quarterback combo is lethal, as we saw with him having NCAA football game numbers a couple weeks ago. Yeah, give me Arizona, even though it is at Kansas State. Give me Arizona. Um, not going to say big. I think it's a pretty close game.
We just got done talking about number 13 ranked Oklahoma State at Tulsa. You think this one could be closer than it seems?
No, I don't think Tulsa's there at the moment. Um, Oklahoma State, I think Ollie Gordon gets it going this week and has a big day.
I'll go Oklahoma State as well. Number 16 LSU at South Carolina. This seems like a pretty good game. Um, I still think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go South Carolina. It's at home.
South Carolina's defense looked really good last week. If they can replicate that, um, I think they have a shot. The only thing I'm thinking though is they were able to get to Kentucky's quarterback Vandegrift because the dude just wasn't good. You have a quarterback that can make some quick reads, get the ball out, that pass rush doesn't get home. Your secondary might be a little more suspect. I'm gonna go South Carolina just because it's a home, but I would probably it's probably gonna be LSU.
Does number 17th Michigan get back on track this week? Arkansas State at Michigan.
I'm thinking it's like a 30-13 game. I don't think Michigan is as elite as people made them out to seem. Um, I don't think they can blow out anybody. I think 30-17 might be the biggest they can get.
30-17.
Or 30-13, 30-17.
I'll go Michigan too. I think it's gonna be a lot closer though. Boston College 24th ranked at Missouri. I think Missouri spreads them out and just walks all over them.
Yeah, the line's only 17. I don't think Boston College can hang with Luther Burden. That's for sure. So give me Missouri.
Pretty interchangeable or early rivalry game. Oregon number 9, the Oregon Ducks at Oregon State.
I would say last year this probably might be a little bit closer than people would hope for, just because Oregon State had a pretty good team and DJ Uyunglele wasn't terrible. But I think Oregon squeaks this one out. I think they finally start to kind of get on a roll and get that offense going.
I'll go Oregon as well. Um, let's talk about it. University of Texas San Antonio at number 2 Texas. I got Texas big.
Number 2, Texas. Haven't heard that in a while. I mean, we heard it in the playoffs, but in a regular season, it's been a while. Yeah, Texas is rolling right now, so I like them big.
Notre Dame at Purdue. This one interesting, or do you think Notre Dame gets back on track?
I think they get back on track. I think last week, honestly, they're the better team. I think they were just super excited about the Texas A&M win, didn't know how to handle the success, and
Yeah.
that's why they fell short. So give me Notre Dame.
Let's take nothing away from Northern Illinois, though. They came in
No,
and punched
absolutely
him in the
not.
mouth.
No, you do
Yeah.
your game plan. It's not their fault that Notre Dame might have came in with a different mindset than it's college football. It can happen to anybody, and if
Yeah.
you're not ready for that, it is what it is. So yeah, 100% props to Northern Illinois for what they did.
Same. I got Notre Dame. I think it's gonna be close though. I think it's gonna be like a 34-21 game. Utah State. No surprise. I haven't heard anything on Cam Rising. Have you?
I have not actually. Might be too early in the week to know. Um,
I still
even
think
if Cam
Utah
Rising
State.
doesn't play, I think Utah still pulls this out. Their defense is pretty good.
No surprise. Number 1 Georgia at Kentucky. Any hiccups, or you think Georgia rolls past them?
Nah, the game's already over. I don't think Kentucky has a chance. If they can only put up 6 against South Carolina, they might get goose egged against Georgia.
Same thing here. Kent State at Tennessee. Tennessee might put up 70.
I say it's about a 56-6 win.
Tulane at 15 Oklahoma. It's a 2:30 kickoff. I like I said, I think Oklahoma comes in a lot better, more focused, and I think they put up 50 on Tulane.
Um, I I would hope that this lights a fire under everybody, and it's like, okay, we aren't as good as maybe we thought we were, pumping our chest a little bit. Maybe we thought, okay, we're big and bad because we're SEC now. You still got to go out there and prove it. Strap it up, get your game plan ready. It's on everybody at this point. It's not just quarterback, not just the O line, running backs, wide receivers. If I think if the wide receiver room starts to get a little bit healthier and we start to get our starters back, Andrew Anthony, um,
Farouk.
Farouk is out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So if we get Andrew Anthony,
Oh damn.
Nick Anderson, Nick Anderson was a walking touchdown last year. Had 10 of them as a freshman. So if you can get that kind of production back with Andrew Anthony, and you have an actual receiver core of Burks, Anthony, and Anderson, you should be able to get stuff out there and get stuff done. But when you're playing with your second and third string, maybe the timing's a little bit off. Maybe the routes are a little bit off. People don't know the plays. So, um, there's a lot of stuff going into it. If they're back and you start to complete this team, which you have to, if you go into Tennessee next week with a roster getting pieced together, Tennessee's going to dog walk us. So you have to have guys back this week and get in the rotation and get some game time, get some action in there.
What's your Tulane score?
I'm gonna say like 31-10. Not too big, not too small. I'll say 31-10.
Game of the week: undefeated number 4 ranked Alabama at undefeated Wisconsin. Big noon kicker.
Wisconsin's not that good.
Spread is Alabama by 16. I think Alabama goes in and puts. I'm gonna say 27-10. Alabama.
I'm thinking around 34-14, something like that. Maybe 34-11 or 10 or so. Um, I Alabama's too big, too physical. I think Wisconsin's dealing with some quarterback issues up there. So give me Alabama.
We talked about it Thursday night. That's the college football week 3, NFL week 2 predictions coming up. We talked the Jets and 49ers. It's Monday night, getting ready to kick off here in just a minute. Anything that surprised you week 1 before we do week 2 predictions?
The Bears winning by 7 with less than 100 yards from Caleb Williams. That was surprising. The Saints putting up 47, a little surprising. The Cardinals being up big against Buffalo, though, that was a little surprising, even though Buffalo came back and won. Um, Houston and Colts was a very good game. We kind of went back and forth and thought, each team kind of had a chance to. That was kind of a toss-up game. The Chargers beating Las Vegas by 12 was surprising.
New England going in and shutting up Cincinnati, very surprising. I think that's the upset of the week.
That's the upset of the week, 100%. Detroit and Los Angeles was a terrific game.
Good game.
Back and forth. Offenses were great. Defenses were great. But how about this man right here?
Oh, yeah, Baker Mayfield. 4 touchdowns, career day for the man. Being Washington Commanders, but still doing that at home in any NFL game was very, very. He looked good.
I mean, when you finally have a system that you're in for more than 6 months, things like that can happen. Baker's not bad,
and it shows you who the real genius was there in Cleveland, because Kevin Stefanski still hadn't got it right with his multi-million-dollar quarterback in Deshaun Watson.
Well, they're doubling up on Deshaun what Baker's making now.
Yeah.
But they could have had Baker for a lot less if they would have just.
What about that game? Well, let's talk. Baker threw 4 touchdowns. What about Dallas dominating Cleveland when Cleveland was a very good top 5 defense last year? Dallas just showed up, ran the ball when they wanted to. Dak sliced and diced that defense when he wanted to. They made it look easy against, again, 5 years ago, people would have been like, oh, it's the Cleveland Browns. But the Cleveland Browns defense was very good last year.
I don't want to get too sunshiny on this performance, because Dak still was only 19 of 32 for 179 yards. Wasn't perfect, wasn't great. Average day in the NFL now. Running game had 100 yards. So total offense, they had about 300 yards. Wasn't fantastic. It was a
I
turnover in that punt return
and
or the kickoff return.
I also have to say I don't know who the offensive line coach is, but the way they played chess against Miles Garrett, Miles Garrett was looked like he was starting to take over that game. Uh, but the rookie, what's his name
For
for Dallas, the rookie offensive line, they helped maneuver and they stopped Miles Garrett in the second half, and he was like almost not even there.
well, I hate Texas. We all know this. Hate Texas. I get a little bit of a soft spot when they leave Texas for some players. I'm like, you know what? You know, I have an appreciation for them when they're at Texas. Uh, DeMarvion Overshown is an absolute animal, and to see him come back after that ACL injury last year, lead the team in tackles, flying all over the field. It's good to see that. Good to see people come back for injury, but Overshown was always a guy that I was like, that's a stud, that's a dude, and for him to come out and do that in week one surprised me.
Yeah,
Surprised me, but also it kind of like I don't want to say it made me feel it's like weird. Like I'm rooting for the guy just because on a personal basis I know how hard it is to come back from an injury like that. But the dude looked good. I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him in the future as that linebacker for that team.
one more shout out to the boys before we go into predictions. Dallas had a hard time last year going into the red zone and scoring. It was very nice seeing Zeke come back and you know Zeke able to run the ball in the end zone and get into the red zone because last year Dallas could not score in the red zone
Yeah,
whatsoever. So
yeah. Zeke looked even though he had 40 yards on 10 carries. You add a little bit more beef, a little more experience. Somebody who's been there, done that. The chemistry is there. I even though he didn't have like a career day, I think he still made a difference that was noticeable.
he served his
And
purpose by
yeah,
getting into the end zone.
yeah, 100%. So
And they haven't even gotten Dalvin Cook rolling and rolling and rocking yet. So
yeah,
uh,
I think what everybody seemed to have maybe thought not be the greatest stable of backs in the NFL. I think they'll probably turn out to be pretty serviceable. Zeke looked pretty slim. He looked good. You get Dalvin Cook in there, and he's able to just kind of be like a backup 1-2 punch with Zeke, and then throw in Deuce Vaughn for a change up here and there. They could have a pretty good backfield.
not to mention the defense looked hungry under Mike Zimmer.
They
Mike
looked
Mike
they were
Zimmer's
flying.
yeah Mike Zimmer's defense looked good. The schemes he was throwing out there looked good.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk some predictions. Thursday night, Bills at Dolphins. Who you got?
Bills at Dolphins.
I'm gonna go Miami.
Yeah, even though Miami didn't look too hot offensively, I think they kind of share some things up and they get it rolling. Buffalo, I think, got lucky week one. I don't think they should have won that game, but they did. Give me Miami.
Miami was not there mentally this
No, I
past
mean
Sunday.
you had the whole Tyreek situation, so there was stuff surrounding that.
That to me is the biggest shit that any NFL team could go through at home. That happening to Tyreek, and I like in the interview how he was like, "What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill?"
I don't know the whole story behind it. Apparently he was speeding.
So he got pulled over for speeding. I'm pretty sure they recognized who he was, what he was driving, and they pulled him out from the camera footage I've seen. He was yes sir, no sir, did what he was supposed to do, and they still got physical, was harsh on him, and shoved him to the ground.
I don't have a. I haven't
So
seen it.
the
If
the,
he
the
if he
police
would
the police cam footage is out there, and there's YouTube footage of people that were standing across. So, uh,
no,
yeah,
if they came in and did everything, and he was compliant and everything, 100%, they should all be fired immediately. But when you're speeding and you're in that kind of car, say he was getting a little, you know who I am, you don't know who you're messing with. I just haven't seen it. So,
yeah.
granted, they still shouldn't hit somebody like that. I don't have much to say about it because I
I
don't
gotta
know
say, I
everything
love
about it.
his touchdown celebration. So I thought that was hilarious.
That was interesting. That was interesting.
Big game already. New Orleans Saints at Dallas. New Orleans just got putting up 40. That Dallas defense supposedly looked good. Who you got? Week
Give me
two.
Dallas. They played the Panthers. Panthers are uh, Panthers are the new Browns of this era. I don't think they traded away so many picks to get Bryce Young, and you lost DJ Moore in that situation. The pick became Caleb Williams. They threw everything in the bag to get Bryce Young when he wasn't. They got hungry too soon. They
Yeah.
they had Baker Mayfield, and I think the issue was, which it's surprising because look at Matt Rule now at Nebraska. We didn't talk about Nebraska, Colorado, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, Nebraska's good. They're built with the right stuff. They're built with toughness. They play. Granted, it was Colorado, and that hype train is already dead. Week two,
Yep.
kind of the same as last year. They play anybody with a heartbeat, and they can't touch them. Uh, I hate to say that because I really like Travis Hunter. I think he's one of the more humble superstars in college. He's like, I just want to play ball, play video games, and hang out. But it's the other portion of that dynamic duo. I don't like that portion. But Travis Hunter, I wish him all the best. I hope he succeeds in every level that he plays in because he's
Looks
real
like
humble.
looks like he'll be a Carolina Panther next year.
Sadly, but yeah, I Colorado's not made of the right stuff. I think Nebraska is, and that's why you got the result you did Saturday. Which it seems like they let up off the gas. They were up 28-0, I think, and then it was 28-10. So, but yeah, Matt Rule being at Carolina wasn't a great fit. I think they were just in a hurry to get something going because of where they were at. They threw in the kitchen sink at the wrong person,
Yep.
and now you're probably going to be in a chokehold for a couple years now.
Which happens to a lot of NFL teams for some reasons. Like, oh, you can't get it done first year, you're done.
Yeah.
I got Cowboys too. I still say it's a little close though.
Well, when you put up 47 on Carolina, I don't think they're putting up near that number. Probably 14, 17 if they have a great day. Um, I think they're going to get after Derek Carr, and I think he has a bad day, and they look good.
Colts at Packers. Both teams winless. Packers are going to be without Jordan Love. I got the Colts.
Give me the Colts.
Yep.
Anthony Richardson,
Look good.
he looks good, and then you come across a stat where he's played 15 games between his last game in high school and the NFL. 15 games. He's just scratching the surface. He's only going to get better. I like the Colts in this one.
Ravens hosting the Raiders.
Give me the Ravens.
I gotta agree. I think
They're
Ravens will be too much.
they're great when it's not the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me the Ravens.
The Cleveland Browns at Jacksonville.
Give me the Jags. Jags look pretty decent. I don't think the Browns are. I think the Browns are just a dumpster fire. They're the end all be all of quarterbacks doing anything. I think Stefanski is not as great as they label him up there. I think it's just a mess. So
I
give me
think
the Jags.
I think it's too much defense. I think Cleveland wins in a close game, like 19-17. But I think Miles Garrett and that defense gets after Sunshine in that
Oh,
game.
sunshine.
Um, the New York Jets at the Titans. This one's going to be kind of hard because we haven't seen the Jets play yet. Titans are trash. I'm still going to pick the Jets.
I'll still take the Jets as well.
Same thing here. We haven't seen what they look like. They're without Christian McCaffrey tonight. San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota just played New York, so
Minnesota, they didn't. It's hard to tell. I think they played a Giants team that's ready to implode, sadly. But I'll take the Niners.
again, it's Monday night. We still haven't seen
It's
how they
hard to
look.
tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
without
Uh,
C-Mac. Yeah.
same thing. You know what? Just to be different, I'll go Minnesota. Chargers at the Panthers. I'm going Chargers.
Give me the Chargers.
Yeah.
That J.K. Dobbins looked really good for them.
Yeah, he did.
he looked really good. So if they keep that going, and I know the receiver room's not that great, but
Should be interesting game. Seattle Seahawks at New England. New England's defense looked just terrific. Honestly, I'm gonna go New England.
I think we might have been completely wrong about New England. Not in the sense of playoff bound, but for these first couple games, Seattle didn't look that great. New England looked pretty well put together, so I'll
I
take
just
New
want to
England as
I
well.
just want to see that defense. Watching that game, watching New England on defense, it made me feel like we were watching like a 2004, 2003 Patriots team. That you know what, we may only score 14 points, but you're only going to score 9.
Yeah,
So I'm going New England as well.
yeah. We all thought maybe Gerard Mayo may not be able to install something that quickly. Not anything on his part, but just we thought the team wasn't going to be there to compete. But
Yeah,
he's got them ready to go, man.
that's why they play the game. New York Giants at the Commanders. Jaden Daniels looked good.
Battle of the mid.
Yeah,
Give me the Commanders.
same
I don't.
Commanders.
I think the Giant, like I said, Giants are about ready to implode after not signing Saquon and him looking like an MVP candidate on Thursday, and then you go out and Daniel Jones is throwing more touchdowns to the other team than your own. Can't Confidence can't be too high in that locker room.
Uh, Game of the week, maybe Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. If it was anywhere else, I would say I'm going to probably go Tampa. But if it's in Detroit, sold out crowd, I'm going to go the Lions.
Um,
I think that defense will get after Baker.
Tampa was very close to beating them last year in the second round, but they didn't have Jamison Williams last year. That dude looked good. Jamison Williams, David Montgomery. I think the Lions are healthy, and I think they. I'm not going to say they roll, but I think they win this one by a comfortable margin, probably like
Uh,
34-21.
Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals.
Give me the Rams.
Kyler Murray looked pretty good.
He did,
He
but Cooper
he
Cup looked elite.
he did. As much as I want to go with Kyler Murray, I still am going with Matt Stafford of the Rams. Um, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Broncos. Even with uh, Justin Fields in at quarterback with the Steelers, he did what he needed to do to get them down and get field goals. Pittsburgh's defense is just too elite. I got Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, you hold. Granted, it is his first game with them, but I mean, Kirk Cousins can throw it around, and they got weapons, and you hold them to 10.
They made him look like a rookie.
Yeah, I'll go Pittsburgh with you as well.
The Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans in Houston. Give me go Houston Texans.
Give me Houston as well. uh, I don't think C.J. Stroud makes the same throw that Will Levis does to give them a pick six at the 30 going in. And I think C.J. Stroud has a lot more weapons than the Tennessee Titans do. Right? They play Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
The Bears, unless Caleb Williams comes out and is just like, I just needed one game to understand what's going on. Yeah. Unless he has that moment, I got the Texans by 10 plus.
You hear that knock at the door? There's a must win already in week 2. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals can afford to go 0-2. But if anybody has Patrick Mahomes' number the past few years, it's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's never lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think he has to win this game. I know I talked about Baltimore having a must win last week. I don't think the Bengals in that division can afford to go 0-2.
Yeah. You remember how I said I have a soft spot for some Texas players that leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Xavier Worthy. That man comes out here and has any sort of week like he did last week. I think Kansas City beats them pretty good. The Chiefs just looked not mid-season form, but they looked like they've already played a couple games together. You played up against one of the more elite teams. Granted, it is Baltimore, and it doesn't matter what they can be at 40 and they'd still choke that game against you just because they can't get it out of their head. We had talked about that last week too.
Yeah.
Where, was it a must win for the Ravens? And I think the way that they lost, they think they have a shot.
No.
But as soon as they go down, if they play the Chiefs in the playoffs, if they go down 10, I think it's over for them. I don't think they have any sort of confidence in beating the Chiefs if they get down pretty early. If they play again, they may not. But
Patrick Mahomes almost threw 300 yards. He threw a touchdown. He threw a pick. There's 6-point favorites against the Bengals. Give me Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals for the upset.
uh, I just don't think the Bengals are there. I think the Chiefs, like I said, they have it, dude. They as much as you might want to hate them or despise them, they can go off and tour the world with Taylor Swift and do this, that, and the other. Be at the U.S. Open just a couple of days ago, and they're going to come in on Monday. They're going to get the game plan, and they're just going to do what they do every week. And the Bengals are going to have to come in. They're going to have to specifically game plan for them. They're going to have to do this, that, and the other. And I think the Chiefs are just, here's our game plan. Here's Joe Burrow. They've beaten us a couple times, but let's focus on our negatives and let's go in and win this game. And I think that's what they do. I think they win this game.
I think Tony Romo is calling that game, and I really hope we get to see that game. Next Monday night, Atlanta Falcons at Philadelphia Eagles. I got the Eagles big, like 28-10.
I think it'll be like a 28-21 game. Give me the Eagles.
I think Kirk Cousins goes like 0-4, and they pull him out. They put in Penix, and I think Kirk Cousins gets traded at the end of the year. Kirk Cousins is not it, man.
I don't think so either. But
Never has, never. I've never seen the it factor. I don't understand why somebody would pay that man millions of dollars. He
I
looks
don't
like a
either.
he looks like a Target employee to me, and I don't see it.
Yeah, his career path has been interesting because he'll
Yeah,
come out and have a complete dud one week, play on like a Sunday at 2:30, beat Tom Brady and Dan Marino, and then come back on prime time, which this game's prime time,
yep.
and play complete duck. And he's just way too inconsistent. He has great games here and there, but yeah, he's not it. I don't understand it either.
That was week 3. Full predictions, both college football and NFL week 2. Um, what do you want to talk about before we head out for Monday Night Football?
It's been a great week of football, college, NFL. Um, the game is starting now, so
That's
um,
where we're going.
we can wrap it up and get there. But yeah, just keep enjoying it. Fantasy football already sucks for me. Puka Nakua's out. C
Yeah,
Mac's out. I'm done.
you're done.
I'm
You're
done.
0 for 2.
I'm over
Don't
two.
forget, tomorrow we talk about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Enjoy this week. Enjoy the college weekend coming up. And next Monday, we will talk Tennessee at Oklahoma next Monday on another new episode of Sports Breakers presented by the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Goosebumps.
Hook 'em.